Hello students, in the continuation of lesson 4, weathering and soil formation, there are two types of processes, internal processes and external processes. The internal processes include movements of tectonic plates, volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. Internal processes may produce lava plains, plateaus, rift valleys, geysers, mud pools, etc. External processes takes place on the surface of the earth. The processes work slowly. Whether rivers, glaciers, wind, waves are the major agents responsible for the external processes. Now the weathering. The wearing away or breaking down of rocks by agents present in the atmosphere like temperature, moisture and frost is known as weathering. There are three types of weathering: physical weathering, chemical weathering and biological weathering. Physical weathering refers to mechanical disintegration of rocks without any change in their chemical composition. Temperature and frost. There are two main factors which are responsible for physical weathering. Temperature. Whenever there are extreme temperature differences, the rocks break down and converted into pieces. In the areas of extreme range of temperature, rock's surface is exposed daily to intense heating during the day and intense cooling during the night. The intense heating expands the rocks and intense cooling contracts them. As a result of daily cycles of expansion and contraction, rocks are weakened and they break apart. Frost. In cooler areas, water that fills up the cracks in rocks freezes and turns to ice, and then it expands at night. During the day, ice melts and water seeps further into the cracks. At night, the water again freezes, widening the crack. This continuous widening of the cracks leads to disintegration of rocks. This is called the frost action. Here in this rock, you can see the frost action, disintegration of a rock. Sometimes rocks are exposed on the earth's surface due to the difference in day and night temperature. Expansion and contraction take place. In this process, the outer layers of rocks get peeled off like an onion. This is called exfoliation. It is very common in granite rocks. In these rocks, you can see the exfoliation, outer layers peeled off. Chemical weathering. The decomposition and disintegration of rock due to the chemical reactions is known as the chemical weathering. Air and water are the main agents of chemical weathering. Some examples of it like rocks such as chalk and limestone are more prone to chemical weathering than the other rocks like granite. Biological weathering. Plants, trees, animals also contribute to the weathering. Trees' roots may grow into the cracks in the rocks in search of nourishment. Burrowing animals and human beings also contribute to this process. Now the soil. Soil is the thin upper surface layer on the earth. It is formed by breaking down of rocks, whether mineral particles, decaying organic matter, living organisms, water and air. Soil is a vital part of the natural environment. It is just as important as plants, animals, rocks, landforms and rivers. Soils provide the medium for plants' growth. It provides a habitat for a wide range of organisms. It controls the flow of water. Soils not only reflect the natural processes but also record human activities both at present and in the past. They are therefore part of our cultural heritage. Soil formation. Soil is formed by the physical, chemical and biological changes that take place continuously in the soil layer. Formation of soil can be divided into these three stages. Stage 1. Soil formation begins with the breakdown of rocks at the surface. The processes of breaking down of rocks is known as weathering. Weathering may be mechanical or chemical means. Stage 2. Due to weathering, an organic layer develops. Bacteria and other microorganic materials form humus. Stage 3. Humus helps loose soil grains to stay together and also makes the soil more fertile. While soils are usually formed by weathering of rocks, it may also be formed by the deposition of material by agents of gradation. Alluvial soils in river valleys and deltas are formed by this process. Soil conservation. Soil conservation includes all those measures which help in protecting the soil from erosion. Protective soil alone ensures progress in agriculture, industrial development, economic betterment and a higher standard of living. So there is an urgent need to conserve soil. There are some points how can we conserve the soil. Number 1 is afforestation. Afforestation is the best way to conserve soil. Efforts should be made to plant trees in new areas. Second, restricted grazing of animals. Animals should be moved over different pastures so as to avoid erosion of soil. Next, constructing dams. Much of the soil erosion by river floods which can be avoided by constructing dams across the rivers. Next, proper farming techniques. There are some techniques, farming techniques which we can use and conserve the soil. Crop rotation. If some crops is sown in the same field year after year, this consumes certain nutrients from the soil and make it infertile. Crop rotation can check this type of erosion. Checking and reducing shifting agriculture by persuading the tribal people to switch over to settled agriculture. Terracing and contour bunding across the hill slopes is very effective and one of the oldest methods of the soil conservation. Contour plowing. Plowing along the contour lines can also reduce the flow of water down the slopes. This is known as contour plowing. Next is strip cropping. Strip can be cut on the slope making terraces. Terrace cultivation restricts erosion. Soil erosion can also be checked by this strip cropping. Under strip cropping, large fields are divided into strips. Strips of grass are left to grow between the crops. This breaks up the force of the wind. This method is known as the strip cropping. Planting lines of trees create shelter also works in a similar way. Rows of such trees are called the shelter belts. So lesson is over here. In our next video we will do the question answers and the exercise of this chapter.